Hi, I'm DJ Ryan Fresh, and welcome to Auto Reverse, a show where we do a deep dive into influential hip-hop mixtapes of years past. For this first episode, I wanted to pick a mixtape that's very near and dear to me, and quite possibly without it, I would have never gotten interested in DJing. And that tape is Mixmaster Mike's Mixmasterpiece, Music's Worst Nightmare. When I think about mixtapes, I immediately just think of Music's Worst Nightmare. It is, for me, the standard bearer of what hip-hop mixtape should be, and you know, over the years obviously that's been corrected in a lot of ways where, you know, I have a bunch of tapes by like Premier and Trademark and Soul Man and just a bunch of other DJs, and you know, we'll cover those in future shows, but this is like the first one that, you know, popped up on my radar as a little kid, and it's one that I don't think I'll ever forget. You know, probably due to the fact that whenever I put on a record or I go out DJing or I'm cutting, it all comes back to getting my copy of Music's Worst Nightmare when I was like 13 years old. So for this first episode of Auto Reverse, I totally wanted to talk about that. It's part pause tape, part scratch practice or routines. It exists in a lot of categories, but because of that, Music's Worst Nightmare has left this indelible mark on me that I'll probably carry with me until the day that I die. So, you know, that being said, let's talk about Mixmaster Mike's Mixmasterpiece, Music's Worst Nightmare.
Mixmaster Mike, who is the world's #1 DJ, the supreme.
You are now about to witness the strength of
Music's Worst Nightmare.
Music's Worst Nightmare.
Music's Worst Nightmare.
For one thing, it's a fucking collage of the most random samples committed to a record. There's vocal phrases from E40, Malcolm McLaren, Bruce Lee, Marvin Gaye. It's truly weird, but that's a big part of the charm. Things that shouldn't gel together complement each other in such a way that you can't hear anything else but that. Mike's left-of-center styling is something that's appealing to nerds like yours truly. Kids who grew up on comic books, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, and EPMD. I first heard a version of this mixtape from my cousin AJ, who lived in Sacramento at the time. He's a few years older than me, so he had access to all this cool shit. One day while visiting him, he played me the A-side of this tape. He had, "Oh, Mixmaster Mike? You haven't heard of him? He's from the Bay," AJ said. No, I hadn't. I was 13 and my exposure to hip-hop culture was local radio, Yo MTV Raps, and Rap City. As far as DJing goes, aside from Rocket, everything that I had seen with scratching was reduced to the 5 minutes that Omar Epps was cutting in the movie Juice. I was immediately enamored with what I heard, and while I sat at my Lola's house, I made a dub of the tape. There was only enough time to copy the first side, which I would memorize for the rest of 8th grade, and I still have that tape today.
Are you ready for Mike the Man?
The Mixmaster.
M-I-K-E.
The Mixmaster.
It's the master. Cherish it the fuck up.
I'ma give it to you.
Man. Ha! Ha!
You never have the skills like mine.
You want a battle?
Any motherfucking contender.
The tape that I had contained a lot of pieces from Mixmasterpiece, but also stuff that wasn't on there, such as mixes with Come With It by Ahmad, Raz Kazit's Fear, and Lick the Balls by Slick Rick. In a lot of ways, the tape that I dubbed from AJ was like a trailer. When I got a full copy of Mixmasterpiece from my friends John Ree and Corey, my mind was blown. First, let's talk about how at 13 I had zero idea how Mixmaster Mike made any of this tape. As I started to become a DJ and figure out recording in my own right, I assumed that he recorded this using a 4-track and bounce tracks, and just pieced it together by pressing pause. The way that Mixmasterpiece moves seamlessly through its 60 minutes is nothing short of amazing. There might be a couple pauses here and there, but only enough for your ears to play catch-up before Mike digs into the next movement with his identifiable tweak scratch, or audio samples from an interview for a local news station that covered his early successes with the Rocksteady DJs. You could listen to this on repeat and find new layers of samples every time. Around the time I was still listening to this early version of MUZIK'S WORST NIGHTMARE, I saw ads in the source for the Return of the DJ compilation released by Bomb Hip Hop, a Bay Area-based label. I eventually found that on vinyl at my local Tower Records. Mixmaster Mike had a track on this compilation called Terrorist Beneath the Under, which was a section of the tape that we're discussing. Back then, I thought it was super rad that he had a standout track, not to mention that there's also an Invisibl Skratch Piklz song on this compilation. Don't worry, the Return of the DJ series is something that we'll revisit. As I became more familiar with Mike's work and his DMC winning battle routines with DJs Apollo and Hubert, I recognized what would become the Clams of Death and the Dream Team routines that were on this tape.
Thailand, USA, round one, fight!
Now, as a grown-ass adult, I can tell you what I love about Mixmasterpiece, MUZIK'S WORST NIGHTMARE, is almost the opposite of what I love about DJ Shadow's debut, Introducing. It goes everywhere, it's directionless, and seemingly, Mixmaster Mike doesn't know how to self-edit. But at 13, that's what I needed to hear. I needed to hear something that was undisciplined and raw as fuck. The truth is, as I got older, this was probably a difficult mixtape to make, painstakingly putting together hundreds of samples to make it fit in this weird sort of beat poet-like ongoing stanza without breaks.
I'm harder than the hardest can get.
Mixmaster, do you agree?
I'm harder than the hardest can get.
All these motherfuckers give my wing a kiss!
I'm harder than the hardest can get.
It's time to let you know who you fucking with.
And now every single DJ play.
Motherfucking Cracker Jack need to step the fuck back. It's time to let you know who you fucking with.
Ha 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 ha. Check out this bizarre.
Partner?
Do you want some of this? Hell no, he replied.
Hey, and that's it for our first episode of Auto Reverse. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to leave comments, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna have a bunch of other DJ related videos up here soon. You might all, if you've already subscribed, you've seen that we've had like some scratch videos, and hopefully I'll do more of that, do some stuff with some of my friends. Nothing dirty, but you know, just some cool hip hop shit. So yeah, do what you need to. Follow me on the socials, and I will link that right here, somewhere here, probably here. Okay, cool. Until next time, I'm DJ Ryan Fresh, and thank you for tuning into Auto Reverse. Check you next time.